The situation in the Strip is starting to resemble the early days of the Vietnam War more and more, and I think this is really important to talk about because history has a tendency to repeat itself. Right now, the US empire is propping up a losing colonial entity, Israel, and has been supporting them with supplies, intel, ammunition, and vehicles all throughout this genocide, and most recently has supported them directly with American special forces during the recent Nusrat refugee massacre. This is really similar to the situation in the early days of the Vietnam War. The French Empire was losing control of the entire region, and the US was supporting them with supplies, intel, weapons, ammunition, and eventually even American special forces led by the CIA during the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, which is the battle that eventually kicked out the French. After the French were kicked out, the US took over, and this eventually culminated in the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Now, if you're in the US, you probably learned about this incident by just saying that this is basically when North Vietnamese attacked the US, and then that's why the US eventually invaded Vietnam. The truth is a lot more fucked up than that. On August 2nd, 1964, US ships were performing covert operations in North Vietnamese waters, which understandably triggered a response to the North Vietnamese. During the battle that ensued, one US aircraft was destroyed, one US ship was damaged, and no US personnel were killed. So this was a relatively minor event, all things considered. However, a couple days later on August 4th, the US lied and said that there was a second attack that never actually happened. And that fake attack was a justification that the US used to invade Vietnam and kill millions and millions of civilians over the course of the next few decades. And the reason that the US went through all that trouble to make up a reason to invade Vietnam was because they believed that if Vietnam fell to communism, that it was going to be a gateway for the entire region to fall to communism. And they were willing to do literally anything to stop this from happening. And this is very similar to the US's current position on Israel.
As I often said, if there wasn't Israel, we'd have to invent one.
Because Israel, in the US's eyes, is a critical part of the imperial system that they cannot lose no matter what. Despite the fact that the UNSC has just passed another ceasefire resolution, Netanyahu has very clearly stated that they will not stop fighting. At the same time, it even looks like Israel is gearing up to fight Hezbollah in Lebanon in a much more major way. In both of those cases, Israel needs the US's support in order to win, but now the entire world is starting to turn against them. They need a reason to keep fighting. So to me, all the pieces are there for another Gulf of Tonkin incident and much more direct involvement by the US in this genocide. Because as we know from history, the empire is not above manufacturing consent. And for us, this is a reminder to never take your eyes off of what empire is doing and to keep all the receipts. The only reason we know that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was all a lie is because of the work of citizens like you and me. If you made it this far in this video, please take some time today to check out the story and the GoFundMe of Asma Abu Mustafa, who's a photographer currently in Nusrat refugee camp. She is trying to evacuate her family from Gaza and is super close to her goal, so anything that you can contribute, whether it's $1, $5, or $10 or more, would be extremely helpful and could save their lives. If you can't donate monetarily, that's totally fine. Please share her story or check out my link tree for other ways to support a free Palestine. The US empire would love to have us all in the dark, and it's up to us to shine the light as brightly as possible. Free Palestine.